breathe purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
All right, welcome in. Hoist the Colors. Tuesday, August 20th is the date. Exciting show ahead. Of course, we'll talk some football towards the end of the show, but very excited to talk some Pirate basketball on this Tuesday, August 20th edition. We welcome in head coach Michael Schwartz. Coach, how's your summer been?
No, it's been fantastic. Great summer. Today was first day back. Really first full day back.
Right.
Yesterday we kind of got everyone's first day, but then today we got a chance to really kind of hit the ground running. So very excited to be back, excited to have this team back, the coaching staff. I know we'll talk about a lot of new guys, some new coaches, but very excited. Great summer and excited for the season.
Ton of good stuff to talk about this summer, Coach. We'll start with the most exciting trip to the Bahamas.
Yes.
So we'll talk about the basketball first, but how much did you just – I know you want to give the administration, also the donors, big props for putting that together, because covering ECU basketball, I can't remember the last time a trip like that was accomplished. So first off, that experience, just for the guys to bond and for your team to grow closer together, how was that?
Well, you hit so many key points. Number one, from my understanding, it's the first time ever that ECU basketball has taken a foreign trip. So thankful for that and to have a chance to do that with our program. But first and foremost, Woody and Jennifer Tyner, just for them to make it possible for our players and our student athletes. And, I would almost say it's a once in a lifetime type experience to go there as a team. And you hope that our players and coaches have a chance to travel the world and do things like that as they get older and in different circumstances. But to go as a team this year, this 24-25 team, and go this group of guys, every player went, including our newest addition, Reed Kaysen came. He was able to go with us. And but all the coaches, the players, and to have Woody and Jennifer there with us, and they made it possible. So thankful to them, and to have John Gilbert and Ryan Robinson with us, and Judy Lovelace, another just incredible supporter of our program that's meant so much to us. And all of us be together. It's like you said, the most important piece of that is the chemistry, the camaraderie, and that time that we get to bond for that, time period that we were there. And it was absolutely incredible from that standpoint. And just so thankful to the Tyners and our administration for allowing us to be able to do such a great thing.
Saw some stuff on social media. They did a good job documenting that. And swimming with the dolphins? What else did you guys get to do outside of basketball?
Yeah, it was cool. I'll be honest, that swimming with the dolphins, Stephen, is this experience that, as excited as you are going into it, it's one of those things you can't even really explain how cool it is. And when you're there and you're right next to them and you're touching them, and to see our players do that was so cool. The best way to describe it was, it almost takes you back. You're like a little kid again. And you could see the smiles on all the guys' faces and the coaches' faces and everybody that did it, and we did it together. So Steven Sepulveda did an awesome job documenting the trip through social media, and he's put so many great photo albums together for our guys. And so that was really neat. A couple other things. I tell you, I'm not really a big heights guy.
Yeah.
And they have that water slide that you drop off, and you go through a tunnel, and there's sharks above you. And I'm gonna tell you, the sharks being above you is by far the easiest part of that water slide. But that drop off, I happened to go on that. My two daughters and my wife were there, and we did it thinking it was just gonna. That's something I'm not sure I'll ever do again. But that's another thing that takes you back to being a kid. Yeah, and you know what? Our players did it. Woody Tyner did it 3 times.
Wow.
He kept going back, so he was tougher and braver than all of us. But just the whole way that Atlantis property works, you're there the whole time. I had been there one other time when I was coaching in Tennessee. We played in the Battle for Atlantis, but I don't even think I saw the beach or the pool or anything on that trip because it was in season. But just to be able to walk around, eat, there's shopping, there's obviously incredible scenery in terms of just the beaches and the pools and the water slides. The guys had a good amount of free time, but some of the things we did as a team was the Dolphins, which was really neat. We took a boat ride, a catamaran ride, where we went out into the Caribbean and went out probably about 45 minutes away And the guys, and I know it was out there on social media, were jumping off in the water, snorkeling. And again, not something that you think, when the day started that you'd be doing. And they're out there and they're swimming, and we ate on the boat, and then we came back. And then there was a beach yoga session. To be honest, I think we made that one optional. I don't think the players took as much advantage of that one. One night they played beach volleyball for quite a long time. And with the Olympics going on, I saw some stuff that I said, man, these guys are pretty good at doing it. Yeah, they're pretty good. But it was just a great all-around trip with the activities, the time spent together, the meal spent together in terms of spending time. And then obviously the 2 games, which were just a slight little preview in terms of what we get a chance to see moving forward.
A lot of team bonding for sure. And then as you mentioned, the basketball, we had some fans on our site following the box scores because obviously I don't think there was video available, but they were breaking it down. I know the second game, I think they they messed up one of the live stream box scores. But either way, you could tell you guys had some good basketball experience as well. Won both games, put up some points. So what did you think of the basketball? And, I'm not sure what the quality competition was, but how much did you learn about your guys?
Well, the first thing I'd say is this, is that the best thing about it for us coming out of it will be the fact that, and going in, I'll tell you, Stephen, we wanted everybody to play. We tried different combinations. We had different lineups in there. We started 2 different lineups in the game just to get different rotations in there, all the way from the young guys all the way to the vets played. Obviously, we also weren't going to play anybody 35, 40 minutes in a game like that in those 2 games because it's not your normal preparation for a game. A lot of things are so different. Out from pregame meal, 3.5 hours before the game until the end of the game. That's really the only time that it's basketball focused trip and everything is game like. But you don't practice when you're over there. You don't have access to do some of those things. So all that being said was some of the areas that we'll take a lot away from is individually being able to see. We always have an idea of when, especially transfers come in or get new guys coming to the program, where they can make an impact. Then you see it in practice. We had 7 weeks of training camp leading up to this trip, and the 8th week was this trip. But to be able to see it in live action, to see it, hey, he really can make an impact doing this. Like, I'll give an example. The rebounding of C.J. Walker and the rebounding of Jay Shane Woodard, those 2 guys, the way they rebounded the basketball from their position, as good as we knew they were at doing it, they really made an impact in those games doing it. Jan Farrell shot the ball really well. Forget what the statistics say, but all summer and then to see him do it in the game, whether or not the numbers showed it, he can shoot the basketball. R.J. Felton is a leader. He's the heart and soul of this team. He's such a leader in our program, in our community. And it carried right over into the game, those 2 games, and him, the way he carried himself and a leadership with the team on the bench and on the court. And we could go on and on with different, I know we'll talk about it. We did not have a chance to have Sear Malonga with us, which was obviously Sear's a big piece of this team, and we didn't have him. And then the other thing, basketball-wise, I'll say this. We're going to get a lot out of it defensively because you play teams that are more guard-oriented over there, 5 out, which is a common style of play that you see. So we're going to be able to really learn a lot. And we haven't had a chance to break the film down with the guys yet because they basically went home right from there. So we'll dive into that now this week and next week and go back to that. The only thing that probably was a little bit of a challenge was we ended up facing nearly 80 minutes of zone. And you practice 7 weeks. No coach is really working a ton of zone offense in the summer. We did work a very little bit basically the day before we left, just in case we saw some zone. Just so happens we saw basically 2 straight games zone, both games. So the adaptability, the guys to learn something on the fly, make adjustments, we'll take something out of that. But we probably didn't get quite the work on our man offense and some of our principles outside of transition that we wanted to because of that. So that's kind of a basketball synopsis of it. But defensively, we have a lot that we're going to be able to build on, which is great.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for sure. Coach Mike Schwartz is with us in studio. November 4th will be the opener. We'll break down the schedule here in a little bit. Let's talk about some of the additions, Coach, to the roster. And we'll start with Jay Shane Woodard, who was one of the early guys to commit and stuck with you guys. And to me, at least looking at it from the outside looking in, one of the more intriguing guys, 6'7", I mean, everything on the stat sheet jumps off from the junior college ranks. So what is it about Jay Shane that led to you guys recruiting him? What has he brought to the table?
Well, the first thing you said was so important is that, he committed basically in December, January time. And so he was the first to commit. He and LaDante Felton were the first two to put 2 feet in to be Pirates. And so that in itself is special. And he had a great sophomore year at Indian River. And so what excited us about him is when you look at his length, his athleticism, his versatility, and that he really can play the point guard. It's not that he's only a point guard, but he played quite a bit of point this summer. He played point there in the Bahamas during different stretches of the games. But he can play anywhere in the backcourt. He can play the 1, he can play the 2, he can play the 3. Again, he's a very dynamic rebounding guard. And his speed north and south with the ball is something, quite honestly, we haven't had here. We haven't, when the combination of his length, athleticism, and speed for someone that could play the 1 through the 3. And truthfully, if we needed to put him at the 4 and play a small ball lineup, he could do that. But I think we have pretty good depth at that spot. So, we haven't really had to do that yet. But his overall versatility that Jay brings is something that excites us a bunch.
And, at his size, if you are able to, again, play him at point guard, and I guess time will ultimately tell, and you guys can experiment with that, how much does that change the lineup? If you have a 6'7" point guard, or you could, he could play there, he could play there. Like, it seems to give you a lot more versatility.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, it's the easiest way to say it is that it does. And if at 6'7", he's at the point, again, we have 2 or 3 guys that we really feel comfortable with playing the point guard spot. But as we saw last year, things happen, foul trouble, injuries, different rhythms of the season. And so he is somebody that has learned the position this summer. He played the position for 2 years in junior college. And the other thing about him, he's a really good passer. He understands how to pass the ball. He thinks like a point guard. He thinks, I don't know if I want to say completely pass first, but he thinks the game to get other guys easy baskets and put them in good opportunities to score the basketball or be effective. So right there, the mindset as much as anything, it doesn't matter if you're 6 foot, 6'7", or somewhere in between. If you have that mind, because that's a unique mindset to think about getting other guys involved. He's a very unselfish player. So how does it change us? If you're able to have a lineup where he's at the point and you can have 2 or 3 other big athletic wings at the 2, 3, and 4, I think what it really does is it gives you a dynamic rebounding team, a chance to rebound it. And you and I both know, and it's an area we focused on, we want to be a better defensive rebounding team. And so when you think about someone like Jay to rebound the basketball and push it off the glass, that's pretty special if he can do that.
Julian Samaro, another transfer coming in, and was at Gardner Webb with Coach Kraft, and I don't think Coach Kraft will mind me telling this. Actually reached out to Coach Kraft, who used to be at ECU. Said he, at the time of his commitment, said extremely hard worker, basketball IQ really high, and also just a guy that the teammates are going to love and can score the basketball. So what have you seen out of Julian coming in from Gardner Webb?
Well, first, I got so much respect for Coach Kraft and what he's done and what he did at Gardner Webb, and I know how fortunate Western Carolina is to have him, a great coach, and I know he spent time here at ECU. Julian is a special kid. Special, I don't want to get out of kid. He's a special person.
Yeah.
He really is. We've bonded with him very quickly as a coaching staff, and as Coach Kraft said, his teammates. He's earned the name Juice with us because that's what he brings every single day. He brings the juice, and I'm not sure there's anything that's more valuable than that. His intensity, his energy, his passion. I think that's very along the lines of who I am as a coach in terms of how fortunate we are to be able to do what we do here at ECU and for the Pirates. And he brings that. And from the day he was on his visit to every practice, to every workout, to the games in the Bahamas, doesn't mean everything's always going great or he has his best days of practices or the games in the Bahamas. But his energy level, his tenacity on defense, his tenacity on offense, it's contagious, and it really has spread throughout our team. And again, we're very thankful for that for him. He plays the point guard also, but he can play off the ball, because he thinks like a scorer. He can shoot the basketball. His numbers show that at Gardner Webb, and he had a really good summer shooting the basketball for us and being a leader for someone that just stepped on a campus in June.
Jan Farrell, that's the name he will be going by this year. I know he's got his other name as well. Jan Farrell, transfer from St. Bonaventure. Really good shooter, as you mentioned. a guy who has started a bunch of games in the Atlantic 10, and he's got length, another good rebounder. So what have you seen on Jan?
Yeah, that's, Jan, he's been coached by a great coach, Coach Schmidt at St. Bonaventure. That program, that's a really good Atlantic 10 program with a great coach. And so, again, we've embraced having the chance to get players that have come from great programs, winning programs, great coaches. Jan has come in. He played the small ball 4 for them at St. Bonaventure. He'll have an opportunity to play on the wing here, as well as playing small ball 4, where he could play in the front court because of what you said. He can really rebound the basketball. It's something he was, I believe he was either the first or second leading rebounder at St. Bonaventure his freshman year. He was an all A-10 rookie selection. And probably the most impressive thing when I think about Jan, I mean, he scored the ball, he rebounded the ball, but the fact is that he was in college for 65 games, playing for an old school coach at a hard-nosed program, and he started 64 of those 65 games. So you're talking about a 2-year starter coming in at a really good program. And these days, you and I know this, not a lot of freshmen are starting at the high level. And he has started for 2 years. And so, but Jan can really shoot the ball, as we talked about. He shot it well all summer. He shot it in the Bahamas. And he gives you that ability where he's a big wing, can shoot the ball. He can be a small ball 4 and shoot the basketball. And the areas that we're continuing to work on with everybody, particularly him, is being able to make reads off ball screens. If he is going to play the wing spot, you got to use ball screens. You got to push the ball in transition. You got to be able to pass the ball and make the right reads. And so those are all areas that we're continuing to improve for him, and he's working hard on. Jordan
Riley, a guy who I think may have thrown down one of the most impressive dunks in Minji's last year playing for Temple. Has shown the ability to score the ball multiple ways. So what do you see out of Jordan Riley, and obviously a guy y'all played against? What led you to recruit him?
Sir Malonga knows Jordan Riley.
Yeah, he does.
And they're great friends, good teammates. But, Jordan, a lot like RJ, big, physical, strong guard, downhill. I mean, his ability to get downhill when he can get his shoulder by you, and he doesn't play east-west. He's not dancing with the basketball. He attacks the rim. And when he gets anywhere near the rim, as he showed in Minji's that night, he knows how to finish. He knows how to finish plays. He played really well versus us both games. I think he averaged 17 and a half versus us in the 2 games we played, and we were fortunate enough to win those games, obviously, but he played really good both games. Another area that he excelled in this summer and that we're looking forward to him continuing to help us be one of the better offensive rebounding teams in this league is he crashes the offensive glass. So with him and RJ attacking the glass, that's something that we're looking forward to. One thing we were excited about with Jordan this summer is, he didn't necessarily, numbers didn't show it, but Jordan has worked really hard. And when Jordan has his feet set and he's taking the right shots, Jordan can shoot the basketball. And he did a nice job this summer. He worked very diligently, very hard all summer. But in live play, we stat all our stuff 5-on-5 all summer long. Anytime we do 5-on-5, it doesn't matter if it's a breakdown drill, it's a time scenario, scrimmage type, or it's some kind of designed situation that we create. Any 5-on-5, we stat. So between what he did shooting the basketball on his own and between what he did there, he really shot the basketball well. So that's going to be a big key for him as he continues his development, his ability to shoot the basketball. And again, just like Jan, as a big wing, play off ball screens, play in transition, make those reads.
CJ Walker, another guy we've seen throw down some vicious dunks in Minji's when he played for UCF, was a 5-star recruit out of high school, started at Oregon. This is a guy who's been in college basketball a long time, and I'm guessing that experience along with his talent played a big role in you recruiting him.
Huge. And one of the biggest things about this team, and when you talk about C.J. Walker specifically, is last year's team, we had guys that you could say first year we were so young age, young experience. I think at one point that first year, I think we were bottom 10 or the last 10 or 15 in the country in terms of Division I stats returning from that previous year. Last year, all of a sudden we're older. We have guys that whether they had been here a year or we had recruited a junior or senior, so we were a little bit older age-wise. But the fact is we didn't still have quite the production experience with some of those guys. And that's what you and I were talking off the air before we started. The difference between having experience and being old and actually doing it and being in that position. So a lot of guys were taking new roles on last year. Well, C.J. Walker, Jordan Riley, Jan Farrell, Julian Samaro are all starters from their previous institutions, programs, and all 2 of the 4 are double-digit scorers coming in. So they've had that production experience. They've been in those games. They've played heavy minutes. They've been in those battles, so to speak. So with CJ, you think about him, he has matured and grown so much between his time at Oregon to UCF. He knows this league. He has competed against the best. He's, in terms of Big 12 last year. And what he has really brought this summer, which has been awesome, Stephen, is this veteran presence. And again, he's 24 years old. And so he understands the urgency right now. He's in his final year of college. He knows what he wants to accomplish here. He's 2 feet in on ECU, but he's really brought an intensity and veteran leadership along with RJ and Cam Hayes and Julian Samaro, who's a senior, which is something we haven't had here in 2 years. And again, no knock on any of it, but those guys were all figuring out roles. Well, he was a starter at UCF last year. He played in big games last year. And so, but what he did this summer that was so big for us was he rebounded the basketball. And he's got the ability, as you said, he can play away from the basket. He can play inside. We're going to need him to really score the ball inside for us. So that's an area I think we're going to push him. But he can drive the ball a lot. He's got a versatility to his game as a true 4-man. And when we do size down, we can put him at a small ball 5, and that's a time where maybe RJ or Jan Farrell or Jay Shane or someone else will be at that 4 spot. So CJ's had a nice summer, and we're glad he's here.
Last transfer coming in, we'll take a break right after this. Travion LeBeau out of Indian Hills Community College. When I talked to him after he committed, I was really impressed kind of with just everything he's about. Just what do you see out of Travion and what he brings to the table?
Yeah, what you just said, everything he's about, who he is. He's this kind of guy. Travion, I know you've never played the point guard before, but we need you to go do it. I got you, Coach. In the second game in the Bahamas, they were a smaller team. We started him at the 5 in that second game. Travion, I know you've gotten minimal reps there, but hey, I got it, Coach. He hears something once, he learns something, he's very high IQ, and so he's able to carry that over. Almost the 2 junior college guys, Jay Shane and Travion, they're both Swiss Army knives. Travion in the front court, the 4 and the 5. Jay Shane in the back court, the 1, 2, and 3. Trevi, we call him Trevi, he's come in. His verbal energy, the way he talks on defense, the energy he brings to practice, a lot like we talked about Juice. He was so consistent all summer. And again, he had a good trip out in the Bahamas, but what he brings is that versatility, that whatever it takes, whatever we have to do, wherever you need me to be, and he's an extremely competitive physical player at 6'5", and I just think his best basketball is in front of him. I mean, he's just scratching the surface. He didn't shoot much in junior college. He can actually shoot the basketball. Now, what does that mean in terms of volume or numbers? We'll see. But he is actually a really good shooter, and he's worked very hard at it this summer, and we're going to, allow him to help us stretch the court out.
All right, let's get a break in. Great segment info with Coach Schwartz. We'll be right back. We'll talk scheduling. We'll also talk returning players and also coaching changes this offseason for Coach Schwartz and the men's basketball program. We'll be right back.
We're down to the final days of our summer sales event at Greenville Toyota.
Lease new RAV4s, $319 a month. Test drive the redesigned 2025 Camry, all with our advantage.
It's your last chance to save at Greenville Toyota.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt & Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt & Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
When a place is as special as this, you don't want to change a thing. You simply want to enjoy it, just as it is. That was our inspiration behind Bow Coast West, our newest community in Beaufort, North Carolina. Embrace all that we love about this very special place and make it easy for families to enjoy all that this coastal lifestyle has to offer. Be inspired. Bow Coast West.
Dum-dum-dum. Get low, get low, get low. 369, ooh, she fine. Hoping she can sing it to me one more time. Get low, get low, get low, get low.
Grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Hurry, the summer savings event is coming to an end. Don't miss your chance.
Enjoy your summer in a new Corolla for just $219 a month or a Highlander for only $399 a month. Got a trade? Get cash for it or trade for a new Toyota.
Hurry into Greenville Toyota.
Everything you need to know in the world of ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, Tuesday, August 20th. It's awesome to have Coach Schwartz in studio. We broke down some of the incoming transfers. Want to highlight also some of the freshmen coming in, returning players. We'll talk about the schedule, coaching moves, and more. Let's hit on the returners first. Coach RJ Felton. I mean, we got to start with him. We almost take him for granted, and we shouldn't because he's just a pleasure to watch. Just you mentioned earlier the leader, so he's kind of everybody's kind of fit in well with RJ and everything. I know his brother came in as well, which you can touch on. Just RJ coming back has to mean a lot.
Yeah, it does, and the way he did it in terms of when that Monday when the portal opened and so many people around the country were putting out that they were going to explore other opportunities, and he immediately put out that, hey, I'm a Pirate for life and I love ECU and I can't wait to be back here. And, he tested the NBA waters. He got the feedback he needed, which was very helpful for him, which is going to be good. But just the way he did it so definitively, I think that shows us what a special person he is and what a special Pirate he is. And I've said this so many times, as great of a player as RJ is, I think he's even a better teammate and a better person. But RJ, he's continued to grow his game. We know what he's meant to us the last 2 years. In terms of scoring, rebounding, heart, grit, toughness, what he does. But he's continued this offseason to grow his game to the point where, he basically went from being a 4-3, big forward, big wing his first year with us to being a true wing last year, 3-2, 2-3. And you know what? This year he'll still be in that 2-3 range as a guard, but now with the ability to maybe push the ball in transition and play with the ball in his hands more in the backcourt, making decisions. And he's worked really diligently at that this summer. But RJ is, I think it's fair to say he's the heart and soul of this team, and he's the heartbeat of this program. And what I mean by that is so many of the new guys that came in, Steven, they were so excited to play with RJ. And then RJ, by the same token, and this is what makes him special, he was an active recruiter, and he was really trying to embrace and wanted to help bring guys in with him, not only his brother, but whether it was Jordan. I mean, when we talked about recruiting Jordan Riley, he was excited about Jordan being here, and and it goes down the list. But that was the guy he competed against. You watch the film, Jordan and RJ went at it pretty good in those two games. And that's what makes RJ such a special person.
What's it like having LaDante in as well? Have you seen, RJ go at his brother at all in practice, take him one-on-one? Because I'm sure they played a lot growing up.
Yeah, it's great. And LaDante's had a good summer. Yeah. And LaDante, the chance, I have a younger brother. He's a little bit closer in age difference than them two. But we went to college together also. We just played different sports. And the thought of those two guys being able to be on the same team, I think is so cool. And you see some of the interactions with them. RJ does not take it easy on him at all. But the best part is that when we get on LaDante, when we really start getting on, RJ knows And he goes and puts his arm around LaDante, and he tells him, hey, just listen to me. Take this big brotherly advice right now. So it's been great with RJ and everybody, but it's really neat to have his younger brother with us.
Sear Malonga, Callum Richard coming back for year 2 as sophomores, and then you guys add Reed Kaysen as well. So, a younger front court on paper with those 3 guys, but some size and some depth there. So what do you how do you kind of see that group meshing together or continue to develop?
Yeah. Well, Sear played his best basketball at the end of last year, and so did Cal. Cal didn't play quite as much as Sear throughout the year, but at the end of the year, from that SMU game on the road on when Sear had, 10 points, 9 rebounds in that game, and Cal played really well in the conference tournament. He gave us some really good minutes versus Tulsa and South Florida. We need both of those guys. There's no, we're not no bones about it. We need both of those guys to really bring an inside presence for us. Does it have to come in heavy scoring no, but they have to be able to do what they do effectively. Cal is able to be physical, throw his body around, can play back to the basket some. Sear is very talented in airspace, playing above the rim, playing off rolls, playing above the rim in lob situations, offensive rebounds. So that combination of those 2 guys, 2 different types of players. Sear, more of a shot blocker, shot changer, alternate shots. Cal, more of a big body on guy, wall you up and put his body on you and get you off the block. So again, a good combination of the 2, like you said, younger, some experience from last year, but they're going to have to grow up quickly. And we think they will. Cal and Sear had a good summer. Again, Cal had to play a lot over in Bahamas because Sear wasn't with us. But expect both of those guys to continue to grow. And then Reed is a late addition. Okay, we knew we wanted to continue to add to our front court depth. Reed, we're very thankful and excited that situation worked out, but he basically signed a couple weeks before that trip and was able to be here just for a short time. Then we went on the trip, and now we're hitting the ground running in the fall. So we don't have as much in terms of personal coaching with Reed yet, but he's a skilled, big body, and he's more athletic than you would think in terms of playing above the rim when you watch him live or watch him in high school play. And so I think those combination of those 3 guys playing in the front court is going to be good for us.
Cam Hayes, just from kind of an outsider's perspective, some people have almost forgotten him because, so many new additions. Yeah. We talk a lot about RJ, Sear coming back, but Cam coming back. And I don't know, it seems like a guy to me that could make a jump maybe as a surprise because we know he's got talent. He's done it at a pretty high level at NC State and LSU and should be more comfortable this year knowing his situation.
Yeah, and what you just said is the biggest key, is that we knew when he had missed 10 or 11 games when he came in for that Florida game last year. And he was timing was a little bit off, and it took him some time to get going. And he had some good games throughout the year, but probably not as consistent as he wanted to be. And he puts the most pressure on himself. But we all know that. But here's the thing that I think that got lost in everything. Those first 2 months of the season, forget the physical part of not knowing if you're going to play and being on scout team and not getting reps with the first team or second team. It's the mental anguish that I think makes it really hard, because behind the scenes, this is what Cam was going through. You're not going to play, you're going to redshirt. Then all of a sudden there might be a 2-week span. You know what? Maybe there's a chance you're going to play. Then, you know what? It's looking likely that you're going to play. Now, no, it doesn't look like you're going to play. Well, now maybe you're going to find out in the next week you're going to play. Well, he's coach. I didn't hear anything. Did you hear anything? No, I haven't heard anything. Maybe by they have a hearing next Monday. Okay, well, wait. This is what he was going through. So forget the physical timing, the rustiness, all the things that you would say, okay, it's going to take time for him to get his game legs. It was the mental part. And that mental part is sometimes, honestly, more powerful than the physical. So I think what you said, him knowing where he's at, he started at the end of last year. He was, basically we had 3 guys that were starting in the last few games of last year, RJ, Sear, and Cam. And Cam had a really good summer. And a big piece of it is where he is mentally with his role on this team, knowing what he's headed into this season.
On the coaching staff, some changes there and a few guys, going on to different jobs, and also some quality hires. Announced Monday, Michael Perry, who was an 11-season assistant coach, now back as an assistant. So first off, bringing on Coach Perry and then Coach Poole as well. I know you're very happy about those 2 hires.
Yeah, really excited. Very excited. And again, let's talk real quick about who we lost. We lost Jake Morton to be a assistant coach for Leonard Hamilton at Florida State. He played for Leonard Hamilton at the University of Miami. Jake is one of the best assistant coaches I've ever been around, and I said that when he got here, and I still say that. And Florida State's fortunate to have him. And Mark Adams went back with someone that he's been close with his whole career. He went back to being assistant coach at Ole Miss. So in our couple of years here, we've lost a coach, Nick Madsen, to the University of Texas. We've lost a coach to Florida State, and we've lost a coach to Ole Miss. And so I think that's a good sign for the people that want to be here at ECU and the opportunities that ECU has created for them to continue to grow, which in the end is professional development for everybody. With that being said, who we have added this year, being able to add IJ Poole. IJ, someone that is in the Coach Barnes family. He was with Coach at Texas. He was with Coach at Tennessee. So we were together at Tennessee, there together. From there, he went on. He went to App State and was an assistant coach at App State. From App State, he's been to George Mason. From George Mason, he came back to Tennessee. He's been to George Mason. And then Mason, he was at Providence. And so IJ is a dynamic personality that's great on the court with the guys. He's got great relationships with the guys. And I've been in the foxhole with IJ, so to speak, when we were at Tennessee together. So I know how he works. I know his intensity, and I know his basketball acumen. I mean, he's a really good teacher of the game, and he understands it. And then today, to be able to bring Coach Perry here, I've only known Coach Perry 2 years, but I did have an experience with him when I was at Tulsa as an assistant coach, and we played against ECU. We played ECU twice that year. One of the games, Coach Lebo was the coach. Another game, it was Mike Perry. And I just remember just having so much respect for him. I knew who he was as a player at Richmond. I knew who he was as an assistant coach for Lefty Drizel, and he had a great reputation. He's one of the most respected professionals in this business amongst his peers. And then to really get to know him the last 2 years as he did the radio, he's just such a great human being. And so to have him with our staff, to be a mentor for not only our coaching staff, but for most importantly for our players and what he's going to bring. He's obviously got a great passion for ECU. Even when he wasn't in coaching, he stayed here in Greenville, and he did the radio. So we're very excited to add him today. And I just think he's going to bring so many things to our program when it comes to connecting the past to the present, and also what he does on the court with our guys. So super excited about Coach Perry.
Coach, the non-conference schedule, you guys confirmed and released it last Friday, I believe. Coastal Carolina coming to town, George Mason, the return game from last year. You'll play in the Boardwalk Battle in Daytona Beach. UNC Wilmington coming for the second straight year. The South Carolina series continues. FIU also on the schedule, Gardner-Webb. So how did you feel about the non-conference and how it came together?
Yeah, I really think it's a challenging non-conference schedule to help prepare us for American Conference play. You're always trying to create as many great games as you can at home. You want to test yourself going on the road to different places. We're going to get that. We're going to be in a tough neutral site tournament, a lot like the one we were in 2 years ago. I believe we beat Toledo, we lost to Indiana State, and then we beat UT Arlington. This tournament, very similar. We'll play Jacksonville State. In the second round, it will either be Toledo or Stetson. Stetson being an NCAA tournament team from last year. Toledo being a team that's been a perennial MAC power over the years. And again, we have some history with them. We played them in our first year together. And on the other side of the bracket, you got James Madison, Illinois Chicago, UC San Diego, and one other team that I just at the moment has slipped my mind. But you got that neutral site in Daytona. The South Carolina series, it'll be kind of the rubber match. We won in South Carolina in Greenville last year in that really heartbreaking loss where we had an opportunity in the last 30 seconds and we didn't get it done, but they won in here. So we'll go back and finish the series there in Columbia. And then Wilmington coming to town, George Mason coming to town, Coastal Carolina, Gardner-Webb coming in, North Carolina A&T coming in, Florida, FIU coming in, Florida International. And then you look at the conference slate and the teams that are coming to Minges. I think it's going to be a great schedule, a very difficult schedule, and one that right from November 4th, we got to be ready to go.
November 4th against North Carolina Wesleyan, and then Mount Olive. I do want to ask, Coach, two obviously non-D1 schools on the schedule. Is that just a chance for your team to build chemistry earlier? Is it more, just scheduling dates? It's tough to work out things. Just kind of how did that come about, or the philosophy there?
I would say two things. Number one, scheduling is challenging. And I said this when I first got here, and I think we've done a pretty decent job of it. We're trying to schedule years out. We've got series scheduled out. That Wilmington series is going to go for quite a while. We have games. So, but it's still a challenge just to nail dates down, nail opponents down, make sure you have enough home games, make sure we're going on the road, things like that. So last year we played one non-Division I, and this year, just because of the way the schedule worked and trying to get games and dates, and there's a lot of things you have to take into consideration. When you can play in Minji, sometimes you can't because of finals or because of graduation when they take the arena. Football games at home. When there's a football game at home, we can't play in Minji's because they use it for the football games. So certain dates start to become, you lose some of those dates. So when you put all that together, sometimes you may have to play another non-Division I. The other thing is this. Last year in the Mountain West had 6 teams make the NCAA tournament. 4 of the 6 teams had 2 non-Division I's on their schedule throughout the year. So from an analytical standpoint, it's not necessarily, it's not a negative at all. It's not a negative at all. Again, you try and put the schedule together. Your schedule is worked on year-round. It just so happened that we had to play 1 extra non-Division I because of timing, dates, and things like that. But again, I think every single game is an opportunity, and it doesn't matter what division, doesn't matter. We get a very limited amount of games. We get 31 games and 1 conference tournament game, so it doesn't matter who you're playing against. We got to find a way to be better so we can get where we want to go.
Mike Schwartz with us. Final question for you, Coach. And look, I mean, there was, I would say, a lot of anticipation going into last year, and for one reason or another, you had a good stretch in the middle of the season, then it hit the skids at one point. You still won 7 conference games, which was the most ECU's ever done in the American. But ups and downs, what is it about the way this roster has formulated? And I know a lot of offseason left.
Yeah.
But what gives you the confidence this team can, exceed last year and continue to move the program forward?
Well, I think, look, we've been together 8 weeks as a team.
Yeah.
So we are still just a group of players, individuals, coaches that is coming together, but we are working towards being a championship team. And so that process takes time. The biggest thing that, and again, through 8 weeks, I could say, do I think we're going to shoot the ball better? I do. Do I think we have a chance to be a better rebounding team? I do. Do I think there's things that we have to make sure we can make up that we're going to miss from last year's group? Absolutely. And there's areas where I think we're already stronger? Absolutely. But more than any of that, I think this group together has a consistency about them in terms of energy and competitiveness every day. And again, does that equate into, because that's what I think last year we lacked consistency. We'd win 3 games, then we'd lose 2. Then we'd win 2, then we'd lose 2. It's like, and then we had that one stretch where we were close to turning the corner, and then we had that one stretch late in the season where we lost 3 or 4 in a row. And so we were on that swing to Texas where we had back-to-back road games, and it just kind of, and then we got back in Tulsa. We played really well, one of our best games versus Tulsa in the first round of the conference tournament. Then we didn't play well in the quarterfinals versus the eventual league champ, South Florida. But I think there's a consistency personality-wise and competitiveness-wise of this group, the experience that we talked about, and I think all of that will give us a shot to be a more consistent team, and I think that's how you break through.
He is Coach Michael Schwartz, going in his 3rd year in the program. Coach, appreciate the time so much today. It's always great to have you in the studio. You're a fun interview, always an awesome guest, so I appreciate it, Coach.
Great to see you, man. I'm happy to be back, and just glad we're back going.
November 4th, it'll be here before you know it, so looking forward to it, man. All right, that is Mike Schwartz. Always fun to talk some Pirate hoops. We'll be back. We'll talk more Pirate football and more on the other side. This is Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut in color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast, Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
What's happening? Tell me what's happening. Every ECU fan's one stop for all things ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back into the show. This is Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday. Had a great interview with head coach Michael Schwartz, men's basketball. Philip Pilkington back in the 94.3 The Game studios. He put all that together. Appreciate him doing that. This will be our final segment, so we will hit some football talk here in a second, but never too early to talk some basketball, right, Pilk? It's this November 4th will be here soon. Football season goes so fast that all of a sudden, we'll kind of lose the basketball off season. It'll be here quickly.
Yeah, no, it's never too early because, like you said, it's there's so much of an overlap, and you don't think about it because we're all pumped up for week 0 of college football and just to get back out there and see college game day and go to an ECU game. But it's always that football or basketball, always sneaks up on me, whether it be the NBA or college. And like you said, if you ignore it, it'll jump up and bite you. So November 4th's not far away, and hopefully it'll be a good season.
No doubt we'll have more basketball talk in the weeks, months ahead, of course, leading into that opener. But thanks again to Mike Schwartz. All right, let's talk some football, though. Week 0 is almost upon us. We've been doing our conference previews. Of course, we're going to talk more ECU football. We'll dive more into that later this week when Bobby Harward is in studio with us. Tomorrow we'll talk ECU baseball. We'll have a baseball off-season special on the show. But we got to finish up our conference previews before week 0. So we got to do our last group of 5 school today. We'll get through it as quickly as possible. We're doing the MAC, and we don't need that much time to do the MAC because it is the MAC. Philip, I guess we'll dive right into it. We don't really have time to preview it. So player that intrigues you from the MAC, who is it?
I'm going to go Brett Gabbert. He's a quarterback at Miami of Ohio. It's Blaine Gabbert's brother. He was third team all-conference last year despite missing 6 games. 24 years old, so really an older quarterback, and I think if he has the season he's capable of, he could play his way into a camp invite for next summer.
I'm going to go Jerwan Newton, slot receiver, 5'11", out of Toledo, first-team preseason All-MAC. I played him in my online dynasty with Colorado State. Absolutely could not stop him. He is fast. He is dynamic. He ripped my heart out multiple times. So Toledo should be a good team. I am going to go with the Rockets. I don't have the list in front of me, but I believe we go last place next.
I think so. I just kind of type it up. Whatever you go with, I go with.
All right, last place. Who you got in the MAC?
Kent State. They're terrible.
Kent State and Akron, that's a tough choice. Buffalo also has a new coach, although I like Pete Limbo. Very few returning starters. Those are kind of your perceived worst teams in the league. I'm going to go Akron because they just always seem to be pretty bad. All right, next up, we have the random team that intrigues you the most. What random team from the MAC intrigues you, Philip?
I'm going to go Ohio. They've won 10 games each of the last 2 years, but they've had a lot of roster turnover, so they're going to struggle early, but I think the coach has built a good culture there, obviously back-to-back 10-win seasons. I think one of those teams that might start out a little sloppy and be on the incline as the season goes on.
I'm going to go Bowling Green. I just think that they're a team that I never really pay much attention to, and I was looking at their schedule. They play Old Dominion. I was kind of comparing ODU's early slate to ECU. Look at all their non-conference games that ECU plays and their opponents play. And they have a trip to Bowling Green. So 7 wins last year. Their head coach, Scott Loeffler, has done a solid job there. This will probably be his best team. So give me the Bowling Green Falcons. All right, dark horse title contender in the MAC. Who you got?
I got Western Michigan. They're returning 15 starters in a conference that had more poached players, I think, than any other conference via the portal. So anytime you can have continuity, good things can come your way.
I'm also going with Western Michigan. I like the Broncos, and I just think they're a team that could easily sneak up and compete for a title. I'm not really sold on Miami and Toledo making the title game, but that seems to be the talk. All right, championship game, Philip, who you got?
I have Miami of Ohio like most do, but I actually have your fun team to watch, Bowling Green. I've got a lot of faith in them this year. I think they jump up. Toledo's been solid, but I don't know, gut feeling. I probably did some research that triggered it, but it was 2 hours ago, and I don't remember.
I'm just impressed that you did MAC research. I fully expected to just roll into this segment, and I gave you like a 15-minute heads up. So the fact that you had already done it upon my request was impressive. I'm going to go with I'm going to pick my dark horse to make the title game. I'm going to go Western Michigan and Miami of Ohio, getting Garrett back for Miami is one of the few returning starting quarterbacks that's good in this league. I think will ultimately put them over the top. So give me the Red Hawks to win the MAC championship over Western Michigan. Did you give us a champion?
Oh, I didn't yet, but I'm taking the Red Hawks as well.
So we're going to go with Miami of Ohio. They won 11 games last year, may not do that this year with Northwestern, Cincinnati, and Notre Dame. I'll tell you what, their schedule at Northwestern, bye week, Cincinnati, at Notre Dame, UMass, at Toledo. That's a tough opening stretch, really outside of the game against UMass. So we'll see. The MAC, baby. We've got our group of 5 champions, and I think what we're going to do is going into Friday, Philip, I'm planning. We're just going to do that basically as an entire conference preview for the Power 5 and Week 0 preview show. Bobby Harvard will be in studio on Thursday. We'll make some picks with him for Week 0 just because we have to. Football is
we
back.
have our 12 playoff team, I guess. We need our predictions for that on Friday as well.
We'll try to predict that Friday and go ahead and get that done. So college football, baby, it's almost here. Again, tomorrow we will have a baseball special, Bucks on the Pond, Hoist the Colors podcast edition of the show, 12 noon. We'll have Scott Lowerbatcher, Jonathan Wagner. We'll recap all the ECU baseball offseason moves, what the team looks like going into this fall semester and more. Thursday, Bobby, and then Friday we'll have our Week 0 picks, conference previews, and more. Thanks again to Mike Schwartz. We'll talk to you Wednesday, 12 noon. See you then.
Hoist the Colors with your host,